the best modality to use to develop strength and muscle size in the lower body, right? In your legs. That is the question. That is today's question. I love it. I love it, right? Thank you guys for chiming in on the poll that I just did in reference to that on my Facebook coaching group, right? I posed that question. What is the best modality? What is the best piece of equipment to use in the gym to develop maximal muscle size and strength, right? So the options, I started off with two options. Option number one was the barbell squat. This can be a back squat or a front squat. Let's just go with back squat just to be easier. The option number two was the leg press. And what I like is somebody, right, who's a very intelligent individual decided to add a third option. The third option is the hack squat machine. I love it. All right, cool. That's actually a very good option to throw in there. So thank you for that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain the differences between all of these options, and I'm going to render a verdict here, okay? So let's start off at the top of the list. Let's go with number one, the barbell squat. Now, the barbell squat is quite possibly, in my opinion, the most technical lift that you have to learn out of the main three lifts, which would be, or main four lifts if you want to add overhead press, right? The main four lifts would be the squat, deadlift, chest press or bench press, and overhead press, right? Those are the main four there for muscle building, right? For strength training. So the squat, that is the most tedious in my view. Reason being is because it requires good posture, it requires core strength and stability, and it requires relatively decent or pretty decent mobility, right, at the hip, knee, and ankle. And you also need scapular functionality, right, and shoulder mobility to be able to hold that bar in the correct place through the entire movement, whether that be back squat or front squat, getting the elbows up here, right? So you need a lot of mobility and stability and flexibility. You need all the abilities, right? And you need them to a substantial degree, which can make the barbell squat a very tedious thing to learn, right? But let me get into why that's necessary and ultimately why you should end up there. So with the barbell squat, the reason why it is so popular, right, and so ideal, right? Not only just for being a total badass, whether you're doing CrossFit, you're doing Olympic weightlifting, powerlifting, or you just want to get size, you just want to get strong and jacked and be a total badass, right? Now, it's such a balanced movement. You can balance it as far as weight load. You can compete in these lifts, right? You can't compete in like a leg press or anything like that. So if you're going to compete in powerlifting, weightlifting, anything like that, you need to learn these movements. If you really want to truly see how well you squat, you're going to need to learn this movement, right? And so it is the most efficient way to actually stand up vertically and load weight onto yourself with minimal equipment, right? So there's the barbell squat there. And it is the most challenging for stability, right? Stabilization in the knees, hips, ankles, torso, etc. So it is the most challenging, but can definitely yield the most growth and strength because it challenges your nervous system the most out of any other option, okay? You're getting stimulated all the way from your neck all the way down to your toes, right? Neck and toes, right? So as far as muscle output and stimulation, you are going to get the most of a strength, of a total body strength improvement through the barbell squat. Now let's go on to the opposite end of the spectrum, which is going to be the leg press. Now the leg press takes all the tediousness out of training your legs. You don't need to improve your torso stability. You don't need to improve your core strength. You don't need shoulder mobility for this, right? And you don't need a lot of ankle or hip mobility. You don't even really need a lot of knee mobility here. So you can do half reps, full reps, whatever on the leg press is totally up to you, right? It's the easiest leg machine to use aside from a single joint leg machine like a leg extension or a leg curl, right? But the leg press basically takes the whole upper body portion out of the movement and just focuses on pressing through the legs. Now this is a great way to train your legs if you're coming from a back injury or something like that and you just want to get the hypertrophy in. get the blood engorged in the muscle, and just get the reps in with minimal risk to injury to your spine and hips and things like that. Now, moving on to the hack squat. The hack squat machine, right? It is a hybrid between the barbell squat and the leg press. And the reason being is because it gives you all the benefits of using a machine, but it also gives you the benefits of squatting vertically, okay? Now, the reason why this is important is because on a leg press, there is no full hip extension. So, ladies, if you are trying to develop a nice round, perky butt, right, a big old powerful booty, and hamstrings to match, the leg press machine isn't really your ideal thing, right? Now, here's the thing about the leg press and the reason why. The only joint on the leg press that reaches full extension is the knee. So pretty much, it's like knee extensions with the assistance of your hips, right? So there is a little bit of glute and hamstring activation, but it's primarily on your quads. Now, if you're a person who's just looking to build your quadriceps, that big thick muscle on the front of your thighs, leg press is the way to go, right? But if you're trying to build glutes and hamstrings, definitely you want to vertically squat. You want to reach full hip extension, right? So, you still need to learn the mechanics of the squat in order to use the hack squat machine appropriately. Whether you're facing the machine or facing away from the machine, you still need to squat correctly, right? You still need to keep your back straight. You still need to keep your chest up. You still need to push your butt back and push your knees out and all of that type of stuff. You still need to follow those cues. The only difference is you don't got to worry about balancing side to side. You don't got to worry about transverse rotation at the torso, things that you might have to worry about if you were using a barbell, right? So that's the benefits of that. It gives you the benefits of both. Now, the end result is to be able to work on a barbell, to challenge your strength on a barbell squat, to be able to do things like a barbell back squat, a barbell front squat, a barbell overhead squat, right? It's important that you have some type of progression where you can reach the ability to do these movements. And the reason for that is because if you can do these movements and you can do them comfortably and effectively under a decent load, your mobility, stability, your strength, all your abilities are pretty well trained, and that means you're doing something right. Because now, a big part of developing muscle size and strength is range of motion, being able to fully extend muscle and being able to fully shorten it. If you cannot hinge at the hip well without rounding at the back, that means you cannot really extend the muscle fibers, extend the muscle fibers in the glutes to be able to work the glute muscles, right? You're not really getting a whole lot of muscular activation if that muscle is tight and there's no movement there, right? So you gotta open up the hips. Same thing goes for the hamstrings. If you can't really reach down and touch your toes, you're not really gonna see a whole lot of build, a whole lot of development in your hamstrings unless you develop the flexibility. This is why flexibility in muscle is so important. You need to stretch and contract muscle efficiently in order to build that muscle. That's why range of motion is so important here, right? And so that's the difference between the squat and the leg press, right? And that's the reason why leg press just isn't gonna do it for glutes and hamstrings. But here's the deal. If you are new to squatting, my advice is work your way through all of the machines, right? Develop the mechanics of the squat using body weight, using resistance bands, using dynamic warm-ups, using something like the goblet squat, which is one of the squat variations that I have in my Tribe Strength program, right? Those of you who are Tribe by Noir premier members, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about if you're following the Tribe Strength program. That's a great way to improve your mobility, flexibility, stability, and definitely work on your posture. So for those of you who may be up here like this, once you get front loaded and the weight's in the front, naturally you have to come and get vertical here, right? So that's why that's why something like that would be so beneficial. But learn the mechanics beforehand, right? Then touch the leg press a little bit. Then get on to the hack squat machine. And then finally, when you're ready, you get onto a barbell. So there's a natural progression there.